While Javier Milei's economic and political proposals, inspired by libertarian and objectivist principles, have garnered significant support in Argentina, they are not without their critics and potential risks. This chapter examines the criticisms of Milei's approach and the risks associated with implementing his policies. 1. Risk of increased social inequality. Critics argue that Milei's proposals, particularly those related to deregulation and privatization, might exacerbate social inequalities. The reduction in state welfare programs and subsidies could disproportionately affect the most vulnerable segments of society, widening the gap between the rich and the poor. 2. Concerns over labor rights and protections. Milei's push for a more flexible labor market and deregulation has raised concerns about the erosion of workers' rights and protections. Critics fear that this could lead to precarious employment conditions, lower wages, and weakened bargaining power for workers and unions. 3. Potential for reduced access to essential services. The privatization of key sectors like healthcare and education could result in reduced access to these essential services for lower-income groups. There is concern that market-driven models may prioritize profit over equitable access to quality services. 4. Environmental concerns. Milei's economic model, with its emphasis on deregulation, has been criticized for potentially overlooking environmental protection in favor of economic growth. Critics argue that insufficient regulation could lead to environmental degradation and insufficient response to climate change challenges. 5. Political and social polarization. Milei's radical departure from traditional Argentine politics might contribute to increased political and social polarization. The ideological divide could hinder constructive dialogue and consensus building on key national issues. 6. Risks of rapid economic shifts. The swift implementation of Milei's policies could disrupt the economy, potentially leading to short-term instability. Critics warn of the risks associated with sudden changes in economic direction, particularly in a country with a history of economic volatility. 7. Dependence on market forces. Milei's strong reliance on market forces and the private sector to drive economic growth and provide public services is seen as risky by some. There are concerns that market failures could lead to crises in essential sectors without adequate government safeguards. 8. International perception and relationships. Argentina's shift towards a libertarian model under Milei could impact its international relationships and standing, particularly with countries and institutions that favor more state-driven economic models. 9. Challenges in governance and implementation. Governing with a libertarian approach in a country accustomed to more state involvement presents significant challenges. The effectiveness of Milei's administration in implementing these changes and managing their consequences is a critical concern. In summary, while Javier Milei's approach offers a distinct and potentially transformative vision for Argentina, it also faces significant criticisms and risks. The potential social, economic, and environmental impacts of his policies, along with the challenges of political polarization and governance, are important considerations in the ongoing debate about Argentina's future direction under his leadership. Javier Milei's political rise and his adoption of libertarian principles, heavily influenced by Ayn Rand's objectivism, have sparked significant debate both within libertarian circles and among Rand's followers. These debates revolve around the interpretation, application, and practicality of these philosophies in contemporary Argentina. This chapter explores these discussions, highlighting the diversity of thought within these groups and the implications for Milei's policies. 1. Purity of libertarian principles. Within libertarian circles, there is debate over how purely Milei's policies adhere to libertarian principles. Some argue that his approach, while broadly libertarian, may compromise on certain ideals to accommodate the political and economic realities of Argentina. Others see his approach as a much-needed adaptation of libertarianism to the specific challenges faced by Argentina. 2. Economic liberalism versus social liberalism. Libertarians often grapple with the balance between economic and social liberalism. Milei's focus has primarily been on economic reforms, leading to debates about how social issues like drug legalization, same-sex marriage, and abortion fit into his libertarian framework. The extent to which Milei should advocate for social freedoms, in addition to economic freedoms, remains a topic of discussion. 3. Objectivism and its political application. Among followers of Rand's objectivism, there is debate about the extent to which her philosophy should influence political policy. While Rand herself was critical of government involvement in the economy, she also had specific views on art, culture, and ethics that don't always neatly align with Milei's or traditional libertarian positions. The discussion often centers on how Rand's broader philosophical ideas should be interpreted and applied in the realm of politics. 4. Pragmatism versus idealism. A key debate within both libertarian and objectivist circles concerns the balance between pragmatism and idealism in implementing policies. Some argue that Milei's approach is too idealistic and may not fully account for the pragmatic realities of governing a complex and diverse society like Argentina. Others see his vision as a necessary bold shift from the status quo, arguing that significant change requires ambitious, ideal-driven policies. 5. Global libertarian movement. Milei's policies are also discussed in the context of the global libertarian movement. There is debate about what his rise means for libertarianism worldwide and how it fits into broader trends in global politics. Observers are interested in how Argentina under Milei might influence or inspire libertarian movements in other countries. 6. Role of intellectuals and academics. Within both libertarian and objectivist communities, intellectuals and academics debate the role they should play in shaping and supporting Milei's policies. Discussions revolve around how theory can be translated into practice, and the extent to which intellectuals should engage with the political process. In conclusion, Javier Milei's embrace of libertarian and objectivist principles has ignited vibrant debates within these communities. These discussions reflect the dynamic and evolving nature of these philosophies, and underscore the complexities of applying them in the practical realm of governance and policymaking. The outcome of these debates will likely influence the direction and acceptance of Milei's policies both in Argentina and in the broader context of the global libertarian movement. The ambitious economic and political reforms proposed by Javier Milei, rooted in libertarian and objectivist principles, raise questions about their feasibility and the reception they might receive from the Argentine public. This chapter critically examines the practical aspects of implementing Milei's plans, and how they are likely to be received by various segments of society. 1. Economic feasibility. Assessing the economic viability of Milei's proposals involves analyzing Argentina's current fiscal situation, regulatory environment, and market dynamics. The impact of proposed tax cuts and deregulation on government revenue and public services needs careful consideration. The feasibility of large-scale privatization in key sectors and its impact on the economy is a significant aspect of this analysis. 2. Political and legislative challenges. Implementing Milei's plans will require navigating complex political and legislative processes. The likelihood of garnering support from other political parties and factions in the legislature is crucial for the passage of necessary reforms. The role of political opposition and potential resistance from entrenched interests, such as unions and certain business sectors, is an important factor. 3. Public reception and social impact. Public perception of Milei's policies varies across different demographics and socio-economic groups. The potential social impact, particularly on lower-income and vulnerable populations, is a key concern. Understanding the public's response to proposed cuts in social services and welfare programs is crucial. The degree of public tolerance for short-term economic disruptions in pursuit of long-term benefits is uncertain. For international perspective and comparisons, Milei's plans are also evaluated in the context of international experiences with similar reforms. Lessons learned from other countries that have undergone drastic economic and political shifts provide valuable insights into the potential challenges and successes Milei might encounter. 5. Cultural and historical considerations. Argentina's unique cultural and historical context plays a significant role in how Milei's policies might be received. The historical relationship between the Argentine state and its citizens influences public expectations and acceptance of a reduced role for government. 6. Communication strategy and public engagement. The effectiveness of Milei's communication and public engagement strategies is critical for gaining support for his plans. The manner in which Milei addresses public concerns and articulates the benefits of his policies will impact their reception. 7. Monitoring and adaptation. The need for ongoing monitoring of the implementation of Milei's policies, and the willingness to adapt them in response to economic realities and public feedback is crucial. In conclusion, while Javier Milei's proposals represent a bold departure from Argentina's traditional economic and political policies, their success hinges on a range of factors including economic viability, political support, public reception, and adaptability to the country's unique context. This chapter provides a comprehensive analysis of these aspects, shedding light on the potential pathways and obstacles for Milei's ambitious plans in Argentina.